Hey guys, this is Unit 1, Lesson 14. The EQ is how can we compare and perform operations on numbers given in both decimal, which are standard, and scientific notation form. The learning target is I can add numbers expressed in scientific notation. The verb for today is we are going to be adding numbers in scientific notation. The brain starter is asking if any of these examples are written in scientific notation properly, and if they're not, let's state the reason why they're considered not in scientific notation. So letter A is written in scientific notation, that is correct. Letter B is not, because if we take a look at this plus sign, it's supposed to be a times 10 raised to an exponent. C is also not written in scientific notation because this number here in front is not between 1 and 10. D is also not because the base here is not 10, and also the number in front is not between 1 and 10. And then the last two are considered to be written in scientific notation. Alright, so let's go ahead, write our name, class, date, our EQ, LT, and brain starter. Unit 1, Lesson 14, let's go ahead and move on to the mini lesson. The question for the mini lesson is how can we execute being able to add using scientific notation? The first thing I want to mention is that there's two methods in which we can use for when we add using scientific notation. This is going to be method 1. Method 1 tells us that step number 1 needs to make sure that all exponents are the same. 2, if they are not, we're going to move the decimal point to the left and add. I'm going to change this really quick. We're going to undo that. And we're going to add to the smaller exponent. Number 3 says we're going to add the numbers in front. Number 4 says we're going to keep the base of 10 and also keep the exponent the same. So let's make sure we write down those 4 steps for method 1, and we're going to copy down the 4 steps for method 2. And we have the same question on the side, so there's no need to rewrite it. But method 2 tells us that step number 1 is to write each number in standard form. Step number 2 says align the numbers neatly. 3, add the numbers. 4, express the answer in scientific notation. Alright, so we're going to skip a line after we write out these two methods. We're going to copy down a model problem. And we're going to separate method 1 from method 2, and we're going to show how to use both methods, because if you show either method, showing either method is fine as long as you get the same answer in the end. It's whichever you feel most comfortable using. Right? So method 1, we need to make sure that both of these exponents are the same. We see that there's a 3 here and there's a 4 here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make that 3 into a 4. And the way we do that is by changing the number in front so that we can change the exponent. Okay, so we want to be able to add 1 to this exponent so that it becomes the same number as the other exponent, which is 4. By us adding 1 to the exponent, the decimal for the number 2 needs to be moved to the left 1 spot. In this case, now this number becomes 0.2 times 10 raised to the 4th power, which now we can easily add 3.6 times 10 to the 4th power, because now they both have the same base and the same exponent. Okay, so now all we have to do is just add these two numbers in front, which we're going to get 3.8. We're going to keep our base of 10 and keep our exponent of 4, which is our final answer. Okay, so the key part to method number 1 is to make sure that the exponents are the same. And we can change our exponent by moving our decimal point. And we can also answer this question by applying method number 2. And we're going to get to method 2 right now. Okay, method number 2 tells us to write these numbers out in standard form. So if we were to write these numbers out in standard form, we have 3.6. This would turn into 1, 2, 3, 4. this would turn to 36,000. And then the other number, we have 2, 1, 2, 3. This would turn to the number 2,000. It's supposed to be a comma. So now we add 36,000. Make sure that the numbers line up properly. Notice that the 2 is underneath the 6 and not the 3. Okay, we're going to add these numbers. So we have 3, 8. Our answer is now 38,000. And the way we turn 38,000 into scientific notation is 1, 2, 3, 4 places. 3.8 times 10 raised to the positive 4th power. And notice how we get the same exact answer from method 1. So you can choose to use method 1 or choose to use method 2, whichever way you feel most comfortable using. This is a perfect example of how to use either one. For the work time, we're going to skip a line, write work time. We're going to copy down question number 1 and question number 2. You're going to go ahead and work on that. So please make sure you copy them down. And then we're going to skip a line after work time, and we're going to write closing. For closing, we're going to copy down this equation right here, and we're going to be adding these two numbers in scientific notation. So let's go ahead and let's work on that. And after that, you are done with this Cornell note. Again, this is Unit 1, Lesson 14. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And